we'll do. We can do like a loop around it.
Okay.
And because it's the garden part at the other end.
Another thing that threw me off, people stopped for me as a pedestrian. I was like, how odd. It's like, maybe it's a trick. I will wait a minute.
Right. This is also where you go if you want like ridiculously expensive housing. Like you can live right there for however many thousands a month. It's probably not dissimilar to New York.
No. Sadly, the whole city is thousands of dollars a month. I know somebody that pays $50,000 a year in rent. You know, I'm just like, yeah.
Yep.
It's a nice place. Like, yeah, but
is it that nice?
But you're house poor and you can't afford to do anything.
Yeah. That's the New York problem, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's Subway too, is from here.
Oh, wow. It's actually pretty looking too.
Some of them are actually okay, yeah. The other problem is New York has a nice grid, which you're probably familiar.
Yes.
Boston doesn't. Boston just has like everything just mashed together. And there'll be a grid for like 3 or 4 blocks, and then it'll just like turn into like one ways and curves, and it's just miserable.
I see a lot of bikes. It must not be too terribly dangerous then.
Well, I see a lot of bikes too. There's many places where I'm very surprised that, you know, people are biking kind of where they are. But people do it, and they don't die too much.
Well, fair enough. Okay.
I guess we have to go over there to see the gardens. That's fine. The gardens look pretty terrible in the winter, but they exist.
At least they ran.
I'm a jerk to people like on both sides. Like if I'm the pedestrian, I'm going to be the one that like steps out and like stares at you. And if I'm in a car and you're like crossing like that, I'll like, I'm not actually like get close to hit them, but like make it very clear that like, no, there's a crosswalk like 10 feet away.
And you walked on the green light.
Right.
Yeah.
Like out where there's less traffic, like out in Waltham, it's like, yeah, okay, sure. But it's like here, it's like, if you mess it up, you're going to just like mess up traffic. That's annoying. Yeah, is this the gardens yet? Oh, no, I always forget this is a weird jog in. This is still the park.
It should have a thing where it only goes off when you're going over 100 miles an hour.
Right, yeah. I mean, some of the smarter ones are like that.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, they get really smart. This is intentionally, it's very high performance, but very dumb. But it was cheap.
As long as it works.
Oh, it works really well. Boston cops tend to use laser, which is, if you get caught, it's too late. But it means they have to stop and like actually aim at people with it, so it's a lot more obvious to see them. Maine does radar, and I can spot them like a mile away. how old like Boston is compared to New York. Just like the buildings that are still here. Because we have a lot of stuff like this that's, the building itself is, original, basically.
Yeah.
And I feel like New York has been renovated and, torn down a lot more.
Well, not really at the same time. Like, some of them, yes, or it looks new, like they kind of spackled over the old, so it
Right.
looks like a new building. Like, a friend of mine, their roof fell in.
Yeah.
And they're like, what happened? It's like, well, this building is,
Right.
however many years old.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see there.
In some parts of the world, I've been in buildings that are 1,000 years old.
Right.
And they're fine.
Yeah.
Here
true.
we get a couple hundred years out of a building and they fall apart. It's like, what's wrong, people?
Yeah. So the gardens are on the left now.
Oh wow, they're actually really pretty.
Yeah, it's not bad. I've walked around those a few times. When there's actually like green stuff.